What are your opinions on your favorite font types, both for readability and also fancy beauty factor? That was a question that I received on Twitter from Luke. Thank you, Luke, for asking that question and bringing up this topic. In this video, I'm going to try to answer that question by giving my top 5 choices for Bible fonts. And I do want to clarify, this is my opinion on fonts right now. It can and likely will change over time. This is a very subjective thing, but I just wanted to share in this video at this moment in time what are kind of my top 5 choices that I can think of. And these are ones that I would say stand out to me in some way. There's something kind of special about them to me. But before I get into it, I'd love to hear, what are your favorite Bible fonts right now? I'd like to know in the comment section your thoughts on this topic, and let me know if there's a font that you love because of its beauty, its readability, just something about it that really stands out to you, and tell me what you like about it. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5 Bible fonts. So I'm going to start with number 5 and work my way to the number 1 font. So number 5 is one that I would say, if you watch my channel, you won't be too surprised to hear me say this. It is not necessarily the most remarkable font, but I think it's a very solid, nice font, and it is the CSB Bible Serif font designed by 2K Denmark. You're going to see a theme in this top 5 list of a few different fonts designed by 2K Denmark. So this is the first one designed by them that I'm going to pick. The Christian Standard Bible Serif font is what it's called. And the way I would describe this is just a really solid, well-designed font. It's not necessarily striking. It doesn't stand out in any kind of unusual way. But one thing I like about it is it's very readable, but also versatile. It to me looks good in different Bibles, in different formats. It just has a very nice, pleasant look to it. A little bit stylized, but not overly so. And another thing I like about this font is that even if you're reading it in a small print, it still is quite readable. It's a font that even at a small size just uses the space nicely, and you can still read it even on a smaller page. So that's my 5th choice, number 5, the CSB Bible Serif. Number 4 is the NASB Comfort Print from Zondervan, also designed by 2K Denmark. I would say out of all of the comfort prints which are produced by Zondervan, this one is a font that is a little bit more on the unique side. Some of the comfort prints are just, very nice and don't stand out in any way too much. This one kind of does stand out a little bit. However, it doesn't stand out in a way that a lot of people have kind of a negative reaction to it. I feel like most people are pretty positive about this font. Now, there are exceptions. There are, I'm sure, many people who don't like this font because it is a little unusual, but a lot of people, from what I've heard, do like it. They agree with me. This is a very pleasing to look at font. So I wanted to go with something here that was a comfort print, but also something that was less plain in that family of fonts. And I guess the way I would describe this font overall is that it just has this very organized look to it, almost kind of that nerdy side of me really just reacts well to this font. I don't know what it is exactly, but when you see the whole thing on the page, the typesetting with this font, I just think it has this really nice, organized, clean look to it when it's in its typesetting. So I'm giving the number 4 spot to the NASB Comfort Print from Zondervan. Number 3, I have the Schuyler Quentel Milo font, also designed by, you probably guessed it, 2K Denmark. Now, not all 5 are going to be designed by 2K Denmark, but these first 3 that I'm giving are, and the Schuyler Quentel font, and really all the Schuyler Bibles, I don't know that they all use exactly the same font, but all of the Schuyler Bibles have a very, very nice font, very readable. Obviously, it's kind of a larger font compared to a lot of other Bible fonts. So it is very readable. I would also say it's just something about it is very fitting for the Bible. When you look at that font, it just says, yes, this is a nice Bible font. I think it captures something that is both beautiful but also functional. It's elegant but not overly ornate. It's classy, I would say, but also classic. And I actually think that the Skylar fonts are going to look really good even going into the future. There's a timeless aspect to this design where years and years from now, people are going to open these Bibles and say, wow, that looks really nice. So that's why I'm giving the number 3 spot to the Skylar Quintel Milo font. Number 2. Now we're getting to the top 2 here. This one is really, I think, it really deserves this place. This is definitely one that, out of all of the older fonts, I felt this one does stand out. And it's really representative of a lot of the Bibles from times past. But I think it's just something about it is really, really well done. And it is the Cambridge Turquoise Antique Old Style number 3. If you open a Cambridge Turquoise, when I looked at the front, it said that the font is antique old style. I mean, they're making it very clear that this is an older style font. It's not only old, it's antique old. This is from the pre-digital print era. So that's what I like about this font, is that it really represents a time before the digital fonts. And it is very readable. It's actually kind of a larger size, especially for older Bibles, a little bit on the larger side. It's definitely got that old school look to it because it's not a digital font. But you know, I still think compared to other fonts today, it's very competitive. It's something that still looks nice and is very close in readability to other fonts that you see today. So I think it really holds its own in comparison with other fonts in its looks and its utility, even when you compare it to modern fonts. And number 1, this is the grand finale here. What is the number 1 font that I'm going to give first place to? I'm going to hand that to the ESV Lexicon font. Now, I know that this is controversial. Whenever you pick a number 1, there are always people who disagree, and I don't expect everybody to agree with this. I do think a lot of people like this font, but I know there are some who don't actually prefer this font. But again, I'm looking for ones that kind of stand out, not just the most plain fonts that are out there. Something that stands out, but I think stand out overall in a very good way. The ESV fonts, in my opinion, you can tell that they have really been accepted very well because the ESV is very popular. And I'm guessing that if people really hated the font in the ESV, it would probably hurt the sales of the ESV, but the opposite has been the case. The ESV has sold very well, and that leads me to believe that people are at least accepting of the font. I actually think, though, that when you look at the overall typeset of the ESV Bibles, most people find them to be very, very pleasing to look at and to read. And in my opinion, I think the ESV kind of sets the gold standard for modern font design for Bibles. It is modern, it is a digital font, but it's also classic. It's something that, you know, just looks very good in a Bible. And I think it's because it just has this classy, formal look to it that just really fits what you would want to see as something representing, you know, this is the Bible. I think it's also quite readable, which is very important, but also it's good looking in various sizes. There are some fonts that if they get big, they don't really look as good, or maybe if they're small, it's hard to read them. The ESV is very versatile. It's good looking and readable at different sizes. I would say again with these top 3, it is also a timeless design. It's one that's going to look good far into the future. And the reason I'm giving it the top spot is because I really think the ESV, as I said, it really does kind of set a trend for Bibles today. When you think about maybe the first really nicely designed fonts that fit the look and feel of what is popular today, I feel like the ESV really set a trend, set that gold standard. So for that reason, as well as it just being a beautiful looking font, I'm giving that the number 1 spot. Do you agree with me? Do you think this list makes sense to you? What would you change? Are there ones from this list that you would say, yeah, I like those a lot too? Are there ones from this list that you say, no, I actually don't like that very much? Or are there other ones that you would have included in this list? I'd like to see what you think about all of this in the comment section. But thank you for taking some time to listen to my very authoritative thoughts on this topic, brought to you from A Frisch Perspective.